All right, everybody, welcome back to episode 67 of Top Tier Podcast. My name is PaleAlePapi. This is going to be a quick solo episode, a little shorter than usual. The chosen one is out of town, so I just wanted to tap in, just kind of give my thoughts on things happening this week. This was a big week, y'all. This was a very, very big week for our music lovers. Travis Scott, after 5 years, dropped Utopia. Man, I think the album was trash. I'm not going to lie to y'all. I think the album was pretty mid. Let's get this list out. I listened to it with LaChosen and one of our homies. We were waiting for it to drop. I tried to get it on Tidal, and the shit did not show up to 6 in the morning. So they kind of fucked over the $20 a month I pay for Tidal. And yeah, I think the shit was mid. Like, what was it? 19 tracks. I think my favorite songs on it were God's Country, Sirens. People were saying Sirens was on a leaked Kanye project. Most of the album was like Kanye, leaked Kanye beats that he didn't get to put out. Telekinesis had a SZA feature. The Drake song, I'm pretty sure, was a Meltdown. That definitely was a good song. I felt like they could have came a little harder on the beat, but I felt like the production was very good on there. I liked Modern Jam. I Know it was good. Fiend, that was definitely the banger of the album. But yeah, man, it was a lot of mid. Other than that, I know I listed a lot of songs that were pretty decent, but I give it a 5 out of 10, maybe a 6. But 5 is pretty mid. I wouldn't say it's garbage, but I'd say it was okay. I just think I was looking forward to a kind of like an Astroworld 2. Cause I don't know. I feel like, all of his projects leading up to this, they were all like, cause I don't listen to Travis. I don't listen to Travis because I want to, I'm trying to hear something profound. I'm trying to hear something to turn up to, I'm trying to hear some club music. I'm trying to hear some, a little more upbeat kickback music, like Beebs in the Trap definitely was that album. I was a freshman in college when that album came out, and of course, Pick Up the Phone, of course, Goosebumps. I mean, them things was going. I didn't really, other than Fiend, I wasn't really seeing anything on that level. It was a very different kind of album. And I know a lot of people in the comments would argue more that this is an evolution of Travis. And, I feel like he was trying to do something different. He was kind of doing more of the Kanye route, considering I just mentioned a lot of the beats were more in line with Kanye. But I just kind of felt like he just wasn't, if he gonna rap about bullshit, basically, like most Travis songs are, man, he has a couple of cuts where he's kind of saying a little bit something like Coffee Bean on Astroworld. If he just rapping about bullshit, just make the turn up music. Like, I'm not really looking for evolution. Like some artists, like, I feel like they can pull off the evolution well, but I feel like if you don't pull it off, you kind of shot yourself in the foot. I mean, look at Whole Lotta Red. Whole Lotta Red is as another example I have of my album that it just not doing it for me. It just did not do anything for me. I was kind of looking more towards his first album, and his first project, and like Die Lit, like that, just that turn up, just ignorant shit, basically, just ignorant shit, right? But the production is slapping. I just feel like this one was like Kanye, but like ignorant shit, and like Kanye talks ignorant shit. Like I think Kanye talks a lot of ignorant shit, but he has a lot of songs like people hate Yeezus, but I think he was spitting a lot of real shit on Yeezus. I'm trying to remember what the song is called on Yeezus. I don't know if it's Blood on the Leaves or New Slaves. I think it's called New Slaves. But yeah, like that was like, that's what I'm talking about, like that standard Kanye production, but he was talking a lot about consumerism. He was talking about how like there's two different kinds of racism. There's a rich nigga racism where it's like you're an idiot who, that's white society sees you as an idiot who just has a whole bunch of money, and hey, come in, spend all your money, You're our new base for our overpriced jewelry and overpriced products that as soon as you bring it off the lot, they depreciate in value 50% or more. Or you just so broke, you've been held down to the bottom of society. You better not come in here. So, things like, and it's, Kanye can spit sometimes, but I feel like when Travis is doing coming with a similar kind of production. It just doesn't work because dude just I don't know. I just know what he's talking about. And some of the bars on this album, I'm trying to remember the song. I think the song was, I think Young Boy was on the song. I think it was UTOPIA Twins or Circus Maximus. I just was not feeling the bars in this one. Like Kanye, I mean Travis, I don't think is really known for having the most profound lyrics. Like I said before, it's just some ignorant shit. But like these were just some very, very corny bars. Very, very corny bars. I definitely think it's growing on me the more I listen to it. Honestly, to be honest, I don't even think I really liked Astroworld all that much the first time I listened to it. And it grew on me, so maybe I need to give it more of a chance. But I've listened to it 3 times so far. I just think it's a much lower quality product. Much lower quality project for considering it's an album we waited for 5 years. You know, and I kind of felt the same way with Kendrick's album, what is it, Mr. Big Steppers? I forget what the album was called, but his latest project, I listened to it a few times when it came out. I thought it was great. Like it very much was a great. He's putting out music, better than 99% of people in his field and in his lane. But I still feel like for 5 years, I was expecting something, you know, at least to pimp a butterfly level. It wasn't a bad project by any means. It was actually an amazing project, but 5 years, I would think you would really be coming with some more heat. But, you know, I was talking with Chosen, and a lot of people feel like, you know, with Travis, he would put out albums, you know, his first album, and then he put out Rodeo, and then he put out Astroworld. Oh, sorry, Beats in the Trap, and he put out Astroworld, and he put out Utopia. You know, before Astroworld, his discography, he was just putting out solid music. You know, for what it was and what it was trying to accomplish, and people listening to and turning up, very mainstream rap music. You know, he's kind of like I look at Travis as kind of like an evolution of Kid Cudi. I think he's like he's definitely a Kid Cudi disciple for sure. People say that's a hot take, but I definitely believe he's a Kid Cudi disciple. I think he was just putting out very solid music for what it was and what his purpose was. And then Astroworld came out and it was just astronomical success. It really is a classic, in my opinion. I definitely think Astroworld, you know, I love Rodeo. Rodeo is very close. I love Birds in the Trap. Not Bees in the Trap, Birds in the Trap. I really do think that album just put the expectations way too high. Like even with Lil Uzi, like I felt like when he dropped his first studio album, that XO Tour Life was on. That album was parabolic, and you know many years passed by. I think at least 3 or 4 years passed by, and Eternal Take came out, and they, you know, he delayed that album several times, and the album was ass. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't even listened to Pink Take because I just really don't think Uzi has it in him. Like these guys are not these mainstream rap guys. They ain't releasing anything profound, but like I think you should, you know. And Uzi kind of stays in that lane. He's just the corny bars, and he hasn't gotten any hits. Maybe his first album was a fluke. I definitely think the features that were on here definitely did their damn thing. Like I mentioned, SZA was on Telekinesis, incredible. Future was on Telekinesis. Drake, he was all right. Like I liked it, but he was all right on Meltdown. Fiend, I believe that was 21 and Playboy were on Fiend. Beyonce, I think it was on Del Resto. Weird. I think that was a weird combo, like Travis and Beyonce. I felt like her verse and what she did was cool, but it was nothing profound. I felt like she kind of phoned it in. Trying to think who else was on here. Young Boy was on the song. I just don't see Travis and Young Boy working too well, but yeah, man, that's pretty much all I got to say. Honestly, I'd probably give this album a 6. 5 to 6. I bounce between a 5 and 6. Yeah, I think, you know, this may be it for Travis. I don't know. You know, I mean, when he was dropping the album, Spotify was down, Apple Music went down, Tidal couldn't even put the album up. So people are still listening to Travis. They might give him a skin back in Fortnite. I don't know. But that's pretty much it. So the next topic I kind of want to move into is for all you UFO lovers. there was a UFO hearing this week, and I know a lot of people who are in here already know I'm with the shits. I'm with the UFO shit, and I'm putting on the fucking kufi. I'm putting on the tinfoil kufi. We about to move into that. We moving into that kind of energy, moving into this topic, and yeah, man, there was a UFO hearing this week. There was a whistleblower who came out a few weeks ago, and he was high up in the military. He was on the UAP task force studying UAPs, and they aggregate a lot of information about UAPs. And he recently there was legislation that was put out that gives protections to whistleblowers to come out. And he had an interview with News Nation, which is a media company, a news company, and he was talking a lot of crazy stuff, man. He was dropping heavy bombs. He said that UFOs are real. The government has had the bodies. He name dropped Roswell. Remember, this is since the 40s. He name dropped alternate forms of energy generation. And as scientists recently put out a report saying that we're about to cross a critical threshold, which is, pretty much leading to a cascading mass extinction effect on our oceans. So once that threshold is crossed, we're pretty much fucked. And they said it could happen as early as 2025. So we need alternative forms of energy generation. And he also said that the government has been working on reverse engineering these UFOs. He hasn't said how long, but if they've had these crafts since the 40s when Roswell happened. And if you look up Roswell, Roswell was an infamous... it's a town. I'm trying to remember where the town was. I can look this up really quickly. It says Roswell's in New Mexico. Yeah, Roswell is a town that that infamous crash that a lot of people have heard about happened in 1947. That the government covered up. There's like a lot of books and documentaries about Roswell, and allegedly the government has been reverse engineering these UFOs since the 40s. There's even people have even mentioned there was a crash that happened in Italy, and the UFO was turned over to was given from the Italian government to the U.S. government in the 30s, and they've been reverse engineering these UFOs for 80 years. So moving on from that interview, they had a hearing this week where they brought in the whistleblower's name is David Grush, I think his name is David Grush, and they brought in two more whistleblowers. And 2 years ago, these other two whistleblowers, they were eyewitnesses and pilots who were in the air where there was some footage that was released 2 years ago of UAP footage. So they had footage from a jet of a UAP ship that was just doing maneuvers that just is not possible with our current technology. And I think, it was a 2-hour long hearing. They pretty much just gave their thoughts on everything. David Grush, he pretty much reiterated everything he said in his News Nation interview, but a lot of they got more in depth about. They asked him more in depth questions about information that he had, and he said that he legally by law isn't allowed to give any more information. If they want information, they have to take it to a SCIF, which is essentially an area that classified information that has been vetted and is safe for classified information to be discussed. And this is a big deal because UFOs have never been taken seriously. So now we have we're having congressional hearings where people are allowed to whistleblow and explain their experiences with UFO phenomenon, and they're not being clowned and not being called quacks, because this is a big deal. I mean, for one, we were not alone in the universe, and two, if our government does have this technology, why is it not being shared with the public? I mean, our planet is literally dying. I'm always thinking like, damn, like, why would you want to have kids in a world that's probably done in 5 to 10 years and we don't get our shit together with climate change? A lot of people have never, some of the theorized energy generation tech that they are working with. One of them is called 0 point energy, and from my understanding of 0 point energy, it's essentially energy of the universe or energy of the quantum vacuum. It's just an energy of empty space that can be drawn upon and is infinite. So you could have a box, that's the size of my phone, that could power a neighborhood. Or power, even just let alone power your house, or you can have it in your car and it just powers your car indefinitely. I mean, it's unlimited clean energy that's just pulling from the quantum vacuum. So you can understand why big oil wouldn't want that to come out. Just think logically. We live in a capitalist society, capitalist world even. You bring that tech out, oil is done. All these big electric and gas companies are finished. Oil will be still useful for plastics, but we're gonna have to move away from plastics eventually because of all the toxic chemicals and microplastics in our bodies. And that's why that's very important, and that's why a lot of people think that tech is being hidden. And if they've been reverse engineering this tech since the 40s, they got it by now. They definitely have hired the best people to work on these things. But the other two guys in the hearing, other than David Grush, they said that they've seen for years, when they were go up in the air, they saw UAP phenomenon. They said there were reports of people seeing UAP phenomenon almost every day, and it just never got talked about, never got mentioned. They would have a debrief meeting after they saw it, and then they never talked about it again, even though they were seeing these things regularly. And one of the guys said he saw like a clear box with like a metal sphere in it that was just flying around, and they could pick it up on their radars, and they could visually see them. And another guy said he saw a big ass ship that's like the size of like a football field. So clearly this is tech. When Elon Musk and other people are building conventional rockets, and they're like having to plan for weight and and how much fuel and energy they need to even get the people and all the supplies off the ground, and there are things flying around in our airspace that has basically gravity control. That's a big deal, let alone 0-point energy and UAP technology, anti-gravity technology being real and coming out. And let's say we have it, it's been reverse engineered. I mean, just imagine how travel would evolve. Like, people would be able to go to day trips on Mars. You'd be able to go to Mars in minutes. They say these ships can do hundreds of thousands. They can, stop in the air on a dime and then instantly do hundreds of thousands of miles per hour. So yeah, you could go across the world instantly. You can almost live anywhere on the planet. Get on a UAP. Let's say this ship was open to for commercial applications. You can get on a UAP. Well, there won't be UAPs at that point, and you can go anywhere you want on the planet instantly in minutes. Not even minutes, like pretty much seconds. You can be anywhere. So I think it's interesting. I mean, we're finally getting this on congressional record. UFOs are being talked about in a legitimate way, and there's a lot of non-believers. There's a lot of people. Understandably, most people are like, damn, because we all know, everybody knows there's aliens. People in my generation, we were raised on sci-fi. We were raised on, Marvel movies and Guardians of the Galaxy and the Fifth Element and the Star Wars prequels and the Star Wars sequels. So I'm not surprised. A lot of people are scared, but I'm like, if they wanted us dead, we would have been dead a long time ago. I mean, there are a lot of ancient civilizations, and their art and their depictions, they have drawings of, traditional UFOs that a lot of people have seen. So I think if they wanted us dead, we would have been dead a long time ago. And if we have the tech, we need to put it to work for the people. But, all of our traditional financial systems would collapse with 0-point energy because that scarcity is gone. When you no longer have to fight people over your energy and hoard and play oil games with people, United States and our petrodollar, everything changes overnight. I mean, imagine Africa overnight had unlimited energy generation. Because, when you look at energy generation, you're looking at mining the resources out of the ground, transporting them to a processing facility, transporting them to, a third party who uses that processed material or mineral for a product they develop, and then shipping it to the customer. That's a lot of energy involved. That's a lot of oil. That's a lot of gas. That's damage to our environment. When you make that essentially free, you change everything. You level the playing field. I mean, all of Africa, all the countries in Africa will essentially make first world countries now look like a joke in 10 to 20 years after technology like this being released, if it exists. Because this doesn't, guarantee anything, but, these guys that are testifying, they're under oath. I mean, if they're lying, they can go to jail for the rest of their life. So what do they get? They only get downsized because a lot of them are being threatened and fired from their jobs, and they'll probably be looked at as quacks if this doesn't pan out for the rest of their lives. So what actually are they getting out of lying? So yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about the topic. Are you scared? Let us know. Let us know in the comments how you feel about this whole UFO mumbo jumbo. Is it cap? Is it bullshit? I personally think it's real. I don't care what happens to our financial systems. If they've been hiding this tech for too long, it's time. It's time to let it out. They've had years to slowly trickle it out, but this kind of tech that people are saying they're reverse engineering that would bring us past all the sci-fi movies you could ever imagine. We would we're thinking year 3000 we're gonna have this tech, and we could have it in 2027. You never know. That's when it can start being rolled out to the public. So for my next topic and for my last topic of touch-in Solo Dolo number 2, I wanted to talk about J. Cole, and we're gonna play a clip right now.
I think it's fire. It's a whole different ball game. You know what I mean? Like whole different crop of young superstars and styles. You know what I mean? I think to me I've been feeling like this for like maybe a year or two. It's like, I hate to say it almost because it sounds like almost like pandering, but I really do think like, man, it's a lot of fire female rappers, and it's like I feel like they doing.
Does it sound like pandering?
Yeah, I feel like they're doing some of the most exciting commercially. They're doing some of the most exciting. They're giving us a lot of fire moments. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's something that wasn't around when
the
we
volume
was
was never.
It was never like that.
No.
You always had a Lil Kim, you had a Foxy,
Lil Kim,
but it was
Foxy,
always one.
Missy.
It could never be more than one. Almost, it felt like. Now it's like, bro, we getting moments and moments and moments. I think that's hard.
And I wanted to talk about that. I agree with him. A lot of people on Twitter had different reactions, but I think female rappers are taking over the fucking game. Like, a couple of years ago, people were still criticizing and making fun of female rappers and as if they didn't have technical ability. I think, and Nicki was the exception. Nicki has always been a beast. She's always been punching with the heavyweight. She's always going to be remembered as a legend for sure. But I don't think, and there was like Missy Elliott, and there's like and other old school female rappers. They were doing the damn thing, but they didn't really get the recognition I feel like they deserve. But I think Nicki was like kind of like, she's like the godmother of this new era of rap, and then we got Cardi. I don't know if I could consider Doja Cat. I don't think she's up there, but I think that's an example of like that pop rap, female pop rap. But she's had a pretty successful career the last couple of years. I've been seeing Glorilla and Lotto and we're seeing Glorilla, Lotto, Ice Spice. I don't think she's a good rapper, but I think she's getting a lot of clout. I definitely Meg Thee Stallion, of course. I think they've turned up the game. I don't listen to their music personally, but they can rap. They can spit for the most part. The top female rappers right now, they can spit and go bar for bar. And the men have been slacking. They've kind of been, like I was talking about with Travis, like I feel like they go, this might be a hot take, but I feel like a lot of the female rappers coming up in the game right now, they going a lot harder than the Travises. You can call it cap. And remember, I already sat on listening to a lot of music. This is from what I've heard, right? But I feel like just the technical ability alone and some of the bars I've heard are pretty damn good. I wasn't really impressed with the bars on this project from Travis. I really wasn't. I haven't listened to Pink Tape, but a few years ago when Turn On Tape came out, I have not been impressed with Uzi. I have not been impressed with Travis. I have not been impressed with. I kind of like a little bit of what I've heard from Don Toliver's all right, but I just don't think. I think Don Toliver in general, like his whole flow and and the melodic flow and his beat selection is very on point. But I'm really just overall don't think they're really going as hard. Outside of like the Kendricks and like the, Kendrick and Tyler, I think Tyler's still up there. I think Tyler's still doing the damn thing. Even though I still think Tyler has had some corny bars that I think people kind of overlook. But I think 5 years, I could see female rap being the face of it. I mean, it's already starting right now. And a lot of people were getting mad on Twitter because J. Cole said he didn't want it to sound like it was pandering. He didn't want it to sound like he was pandering. And people are like, well, why did he have to preface it like that? Like, is he not standing on business? Is it a manhood thing? That's what people are saying. But people, I feel like there's a lot of people get triggered on Twitter because you say you give anybody any kind of praise, especially you give black women kind of praise, they think it's an offense or some kind of assault. So I guess he felt like and I agree that people do that all the time. So, I would preface it too. Like I wouldn't even preface it like how you would preface it. I would just kind of say, I would state it like, yeah, female rappers taking over the game. And I would say before, you incels, you weirdos get triggered, actually just look at the raw numbers and what's going on and who's winning all the awards or who's really in the public eye. Like I'm not really seeing these dudes coming that hard. Like, you know, like the Core Days, his last album was mid as hell. Like a lot of the guys I used to listen to I thought could spit, they've been kind of getting complacent. I guess they not really the hunger. I think the hunger is important, and I think a lot of female rappers have not been getting the respect that they deserve, and they're hungry. They are hungry for it. And then I saw another guy. I'm trying to remember his name. I'll bring it up on the screen, and we'll, you know, I'll say his name in. But he also said that another reason why he thinks women rappers are coming up so well is he feels like that they don't have to prove anything. Where it's like they could say, you know, I put out the blicky and start firing and squeezing. And he said that they say, oh my gosh, it's so cute. That's so cute. Oh my gosh, you know, and they'll move on. But when the guy, he says, if I said that, people are gonna come up and try to test me. So I don't know. Maybe people are getting more of what maybe dudes are kind of toning it down because they don't want to get tested. I mean, a lot of rappers get their chains taken and tested, and they get G-checked often, and they got to check in. And who wants to do that bullshit? Who really wants to do that bullshit and have to check in? But man, that's pretty much it, y'all. I just wanted to tap in. This was a shorter episode. The Chosen One is out of town. I kind of just wanted to get my thoughts on what I thought was interesting this week for the fans and for the subscribers. And just once again, we love y'all. Thank you for supporting the channel. And tune in for next week's episode. We're going to be back. Both of us are going to be back next episode. This is Solo Dolo number 2. My name is PaleAlePapi. I'm signing off. Take it easy, y'all.